As a part of the American tradition of questioning authority and rules, let's look at the Pledge of Allegiance, because this is something that all American children are forced to learn in elementary school before they can even spell the words. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They're playing in our faces. From childhood, they're programming us to say this fucking shit. It is literally programmed into almost every person's mind that went to public school in this country. Now, if they upheld these tenets, I'd be like, yeah, I'm pledging, I believe it. But the matter of the fact is they've hardly ever kept up any of this as a standard to work by. And all I see is hypocrisy. It's insincere, it's deceitful, it's performative, and it's bullshit. And if you don't like it as much as I do, please say so in the comments so that I can see how many people actually see reason instead of these indoctrinated motherfuckers who only see the red, white, and blue as a patriotic act. Because I feel like questioning this shit and talking about it and pointing out the flaws is actually more American than people who just stand around and wave a flag and don't even know what the hell they are saying when they say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge. A pledge is a serious formal agreement to do or refrain from doing something. How does a child have the ability to make a serious formal agreement? I pledge allegiance. Allegiance means loyalty, faithfulness, or a solemn commitment of support to a country, ruler, group, cause, or belief. It typically implies a binding duty or obligation of fidelity and obedience, often demonstrated through oaths or formal pledges. Is it just me, or is it wrong to ask children to pledge their allegiance when they don't even understand any of those concepts? Kind of sounds like indoctrination. I pledge allegiance to the flag. We're not pledging allegiance to people. We're not even really pledging allegiance directly to the country. We're pledging allegiance to a flag. So that makes me wonder, what exactly does the symbolism of our flag mean? First, let's take a look at the meaning of the colors. Red represents valor and courage. It symbolizes the sacrifice and bravery of those who have fought to defend the nation's freedoms and ideals. Red also signifies the resilience and determination of the American people in times of adversity. And interestingly, early Americans created the red color for their flags using two natural resources, cochineal and madder root, neither of which come from the USA. The white on the flag symbolizes purity and innocence. It represents the high moral standards and integrity upon which the nation was founded. It also signifies the desire for peace and harmony among the diverse communities that make up the United States. The blue on the United States flag represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. It signifies the unity and loyalty of the American people in upholding the principles of freedom, equality, and justice for all. Blue serves as a reminder of the nation's commitment to liberty and the pursuit of a just society. So with just the colors alone, you're asking children who don't understand any of these concepts to pledge themselves to these concepts at an early age before their frontal lobe is developed. Also, the blue was from the indigo plant. Indigo was originally from India and Africa. Even colonization is present within the flag. Now let's talk about the stars and stripes. The adoption of the five-pointed star as a symbol of the United States can be traced back to the Continental Congress of 1777. The Congress specified that the stars would represent a new constellation, symbolizing the unity and sovereignty of the 13 original colonies. Yeah, unity and sovereignty for the white man, nobody else. The star traditionally symbolizes unity, sovereignty, and a guiding light, symbolizing sovereignty while you're indoctrinating children into something that they don't even understand. You're not giving them sovereignty. That is the opposite of sovereignty. Anyways, additionally, the 5 points can symbolize the 5 branches of the U.S. military, signifying the nation's defense and collective strength. Betty Ross was the one who talked the government into the 5-pointed star because it was easier to sew, and you could cut the star out of the fabric by folding it a certain way and only have to cut it one time. Of course, a woman came up with that. And she also designed it. Now let's talk about the stripes. The 13 alternating red and white stripes on the American flag have their own symbolism rooted in the country's early history. 13 stripes represent the original 13 colonies that declared independence from the British rule, leading to the formulation of the United States. Each stripe serves as a reminder of the individuality and unity of these colonies, which came together to form a single nation. The white stripes symbolize purity, innocence, and the desire for peace. The innocence that you're taking away from these children as you're indoctrinating them by forcing them to take a pledge that they don't understand. They also highlight the importance of integrity and the pursuit of justice in the nation's governance. The pursuit of justice in the nation's governance. Yeah, I mean, like that exists and has ever existed in the entirety of the United States. Sure. It is so ridiculously hypocritical, I can't even believe it. The red stripes represent valor, sacrifice, and courage. Yeah, of people who were sacrificed for the wealth of others. They signify the willingness of American people to be sacrificed to defend their freedoms and stand against tyranny and oppression. Yet here we are in this big age of 250 years old, yet we're still standing against tyranny and oppression in our own damn country, unto the republic for which it stands. Wait, to the republic? What does republic mean versus democracy? Because I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that we're a republic. Why is it in the Pledge of Allegiance? While the two terms are often used interchangeably in the modern world, there is a distinct political science difference. Democracy simply means a system where power is derived from the people. This can be direct, where citizens vote directly on every law, which would be interesting, or representative, where they elect people to make laws. A republic specifically refers to a representative democracy that lacks a monarch. In a pure republic, individuals and minority rights are protected by the rule of law, preventing a simple majority from oppressing minority groups. You mean like all those people that are sitting in detention centers? Or what about the history of all of the indigenous people that were here before any of this being oppressed and put into camps and forced into slavery to work for them? Hypocrisy really seems like a repetitive cycle in colonization, doesn't it? One nation under God. Most of the formal legal and constitutional challenges to the Pledge of Allegiance have been targeting the phrase one nation under God, which critics argue violates the established clause protecting separation of church and state, freedom of religion. Right? People object to the phrase under God in the Pledge of Allegiance primarily because it violates the established clause of the First Amendment, which prohibits the government from endorsing religion. Critics argue that reciting it in public schools creates religious coercion and alienates atheists, agnostics, and polytheists. So, like, where's the freedom of religion? Oh yeah, hypocrisy. One nation under God wasn't added until 1954 during the Cold War to contrast American ideals with Soviet godless communism. Critics argue this makes the phrase more about political indoctrination than genuine patriotism. Indivisible. Indivisible means impossible to separate, split, or break into smaller parts. It describes an entity or concept that must be treated as a single whole unit without losing its fundamental integrity. I'd love to see some integrity. It seems like even when they're sitting up there and they're questioning people and they have all these tough questions, oh, answer the question. You can't handle the truth. They're just puppeting. They're putting on a show for their constituents because when they end up getting into power, what happens? More corruption, more lies, more treachery, more war, more robbing the American public of all of our wealth and sending it over to other places. It's not just Reddit. They all want to send money over to the country that everybody hates because they get money through an organization that starts with an A. Most of the entire Congress has received payments from that, which comes from our fucking taxes. But let's refocus on indivisible because I could go on that for way too long. Impossible to separate, split, or break into smaller parts, yet here we are as you separate, break, and split up families and put some of them into a detention center. But yeah, we're not breaking or splitting or doing any harm. No, we're just protecting our homes. They're just making our rent go up because our rent used to be so low. There's so many immigrants and there's so many people to house. There's competition and I can't get where I want to live because there's like immigrants there. Oh my God. If you intend to go to the comments and tell me about how indivisible is supposed to be talking about the country itself and the states not separating from one another, I don't fucking care. That shit doesn't matter. What matters is humanity, okay? If we are living shitty lives because of what the government does, then I'm gonna call it out. That's what I care about. Everything is an immigrant's fault. If you're white, okay, you're not from here. Your ancestors are immigrants. Immigrants. It's so irritating. With liberty and justice for all. Yeah, except for anybody who isn't white. Criticism of the line with liberty and justice for all centers on the contrast between the United States' stated ideals and its historical reality. Critics argue the promise is false. Marginalized groups such as racial minorities, the economically disadvantaged, and immigrants do not consistently experience equal justice or liberty, making the line feel performative and illusionary. Also, it's performative nationalism. Many feel that compelling individuals to recite a patriotic oath that claims a perfect state of liberty and justice forces a narrative of blind nationalism. So in a non-sarcastic tone, if I can manage it, I'll try. I can't promise anything. Why are children taught to memorize the Pledge of Allegiance before they understand how to spell the words, or what the words mean, or even before they understand the hypocritical history of the United States of America, which has basically never upheld the pledge for all of its citizens? Should we abandon the pledge in schools, or at least wait until a later grade when children better understand what they're pledging? Should the pledge be used as a yardstick for how the business of government is conducted, since the United House of Representatives routinely recites the Pledge of Allegiance at the start of its daily legislative session? While not a mandatory daily practice in the United States Senate, senators often lead or include the pledge in their sessions, and individual congressional committees frequently begin with it as well. The reason I am talking about this is because this year is the official nationwide commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, marking the signing of the Declaration of Independence. As a part of the celebration, TikTok is hosting the America 250 contest. Within this contest, which I've joined, TikTok is asking creators to explore the history, traditions, and cultures that have shaped the nation, including patriotic traditions like art, music, and cultural heritage. As an attempt to uphold our patriotic tradition of questioning authority and rules, I really enjoy calling out bullshit. I really feel like most Americans kind of enjoy doing that. We like seeing the hypocrisy and the bullshit and saying, wait a minute, what are you fucking talking about? You're full of shit. If you wish to support me in this endeavor, please go listen to our song Freedom of Speech. It is available on all streaming platforms.